With this rise of protectionism, which in my view acts like an infectious disease, once it emerges, it tends to spread and spread widely.
What will happen to AGOA will tell the kind of policies the US is going to have towards Africa. If AGOA is not extended, I think there will be a significant consequence.
While African countries are not the target of this trade war, the most significant source of risk here is actually the rise and potential spread of protectionism. So for African countries, several decades of trade liberalization have contributed significantly to economic growth, to promoting sustainable development and lifting millions of Africans from extreme poverty by integrating African countries into the global supply chains and markets. So if this protectionist sentiment spreads, many countries in the global north may start re-evaluating their trade agreements with developing countries, including those in Africa. These trade agreements have always allowed African exporters easier access to European and North American markets through preferential tariffs and quota-free entry to their markets. So now what will happen if these countries re-evaluate and change these trade agreements? African exporters will find it difficult to meet the requirements for exports, the trade standards, and may be excluded from this market because they are unable to compete internationally. There are voices now that are raising concerns about the future of AGOA. AGOA is the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, which allows sub-Saharan African countries to export duty-free to the US market. Now people are asking and thinking if this might be a next step in this trade war.
AGOA is going to expire in 2025. But so far we haven't heard any mentioning of Africa in the US trade policy, whether this AGOA is going to be extended upon its expiry in 2025 or not. So what will happen to AGOA will tell the kind of policies the US is going to have towards Africa. If AGOA is not extended, I think there will be a significant consequence, particularly to South Africa, where about more than 20% of its auto export is to the US under this scheme. What can be done in a very short period of time is just looking for alternative trade partners. A looming tariff war will cause the fall in demand for African products, given that Africa is so dependent on trade. The negative consequence is going to be very high.
This trade war actually sends a clear signal to Africa that it is time to go south. It's a compelling message for the continent to unlock the full potential of its own market.
AfCFTA is designed to promote intra-Africa trade so that if trade within Africa is promoted, at least it can serve as a shield to high external vulnerability, as well as to maintain some of the value chains within the continent.
Today, intracontinental trade in Africa is 12%, which is significantly lower than that in North America, in Asia, and the European Union. So this trade war offers an opportunity for African countries to deepen regional integration. Some evaluations and projections indicate that a full and successful implementation of trade agreements such as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area can increase intracontinental trade by 80%.
So I think AfCFTA should take a lesson from these consecutive global shocks which has been affecting Africa disproportionately, so that intra-Africa trade should be promoted in order to maintain some of the value chains, some of the trade relationships within Africa. So no matter what is happening, whether the reciprocal tariff is going to happen, whether tariff war is going to escalate it or not, I think there is enough lesson that Africa has been affected by global shocks in disproportionately. So FCFTA implementation should receive a priority regardless of what's happening in the tariff war.